Sports Phone KNBR. Sponsored by Industrial Metal Supply. On the Sports Leader. Check the live stream on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
We are back. What's going on, folks? Kerry Crowley hanging out with you until 9 o'clock this evening. The show, Sports Phone KNBR. Giants win it 4-3 over the Miami Marlins. One of their better wins of the young season. They improved to 7-10, and yes, it's been a frustrating start. The Giants have left runners on the base pass. They've made mistakes in the outfield. We saw that again tonight with Michael Conforto. They've made mistakes running the bases. But tonight, they did something they have not yet done this season. That's come back from a 3-run deficit. Kyle Harrison with a gritty outing tonight. Gives up 3 runs in the second inning. It got hit around a little bit in the first. Gives up 3 in the second. And you're thinking, okay, just get through 4, just get through 5. See if the offense can find its way back. Kyle Harrison gets through 6 innings. An impressive mark. A quality start for the 22-year-old rookie. And the offense picks him up. The lineup with some gritty at-bats tonight. Really, all around, an impressive showing from the Giants after they go down 3-0, after the slow start in Miami, after the very disappointing series that concluded on Sunday in Tampa with Blake Snell getting shelled against the Rays. Not the way the Giants had the start of this season drawn up. They come into tonight, and look, you never want to say that you're playing a must-win game in April. You never want to say it's a must-win series. But the Miami Marlins came into tonight 3-13. On the season. Just an atrocious start to the year. And I was mildly concerned about this Marlins team, and I will be for the next 2 days because they played the Braves really tough this weekend. The vaunted Atlanta Braves needed a Marcell Ozuna go-ahead home run in the 9th inning to take a series from Miami. So, yes, they're bad, but you look at their lineup up and down, they've got major league caliber players, and the Giants were sending a rookie to the hill the night after the bullpen is used early because Blake Snell does not go as deep into the game as even the Giants would anticipate, knowing that he didn't get much of a build-up in spring training, and the offense fights its way back. Top of the 4th inning, Michael Conforto helps to start make up for the early misplay in left field, singling in Jung-Hoo Lee, who, by the way, I agree with what FP had to say on the postgame show. I think it was his best game as a Giant so far. 17 games in, really impressed with what we saw from Jung-Hoo Lee tonight. The at-bat quality was outstanding. Someone who is able to take pitches and really fight his way through an at-bat. You saw him go the other way tonight in impressive fashion, and just exactly what the Giants envisioned from Jung-Hoo Lee when they started this season. Then, Giants are still trailing 3-1 in the 7th inning, and I'll be honest, I was uneasy at this point based on the quality of at-bats we'd seen. They did not look good against Marlins starter Edward Cabrera, who racked up 10 strikeouts tonight, and some of those strikeouts were ugly. I mean, you go into those Jorge Soler and Matt Chapman at-bats, and there's a lot to pick apart from those, and right now we'd probably be spending this moment picking apart those at-bats and detailing the Giants' approach and spending time discussing what needs to be changed on offense. But after a win, after the way that the Giants came back in that ball game, you focus on what they did in the 7th inning and later, and so they're down 3-1. Patrick Bailey comes through with the sacrifice fly. Tyro Estrada, by the way, has had a much better last few days than he did during the first, 14, 15 games of the season. Tyro's starting to look like the Tyro of old right now, and it's reflected in the stat line. He goes 1 for 4 tonight, but it's up to a 655 OPS. And just a few days ago, we were talking about a hitter whose OPS was sitting well under 400. And so it's not where it needs to be. It's not where the Giants want it to be. But if they get these swings that they got tonight out of Tyro Estrada moving forward, I think that you will start to see a more confident Giants lineup. You'll start to see a lineup that's able to extend out a little bit more, and everything else could start to fall into place. So Estrada sets the table in the 7th inning. Patrick Bailey steps up, bottom of the lineup, goes the other way for the sacrifice fly. That was big. And then really what I thought was one of the 2 best at-bats of the night for the Giants was Jung-Hoo Lee singling on the ground ball to left field, going and shooting that ball through the left side of the infield, taking the pitch that was thrown off the outside corner and going exactly where it was thrown. And so that was just a testament to why the Giants signed Jung-Hoo Lee, the great bat control that he has and exactly what he can do in those moments. So they go from trailing 3-1 in the top of the seventh to tie it up 3-3. Bob Melvin then goes to his bench, and this is where the Giants manager made the right decision tonight. He brings Wilmer Flores in to pinch hit. Wilmer Flores drives the ball in on the hands, up the middle. It falls in front of Jazz Chisholm, who, by the way, an outstanding outfielder who made one great diving catch tonight. I think maybe robbing Matt Chapman early in that ball game after Chapman's first two at-bats ended in strikeouts. And so that was a really important at-bat. Obviously, it's the game-winning at-bat for the Giants, but with a runner in scoring position, you burn your bench bat in Wilmer Flores to come up and hit for Lamont Wade Jr., who at that time, still the Giants' leader in batting average, OPS. You're playing the platoon game. You're playing the fact that Flores can deliver for you against a left-handed reliever, and he does. It was a tough pitch in on the hands. He muscles it out to center field, and the Giants don't look back from that point. They win it 4-3 because of Bob Melvin's management of the bullpen from that point forward. So Kyle Harrison ultimately able to grind through 6 innings, gives up 8 hits and a walk, so 9 base runners tonight for Harrison, but he is really able to limit the damage, and that sets the table for the rested trio of Tyler Rogers, Ryan Walker, and Camilo Doval. And Rogers looked good in the 7th inning. That was an important note for the Giants, who, remember, he's had kind of a rocky start to the season out of the bullpen, and I think things will normalize for him. You saw the soft contact tonight. He made a nice play defensively on the mound, helping himself out, and he's someone who always has to do that because of the soft contact that he induces. And then Ryan Walker comes on for the 8th inning. He goes 2/3 of an inning, gives up a hit. There's a base runner, and that's where this game gets quite interesting, folks. Ryan Walker not ultimately going to face the final hitter of that inning. Bob Melvin says he wants to go to the bullpen. You've got a left-handed hitter coming up for the Miami Marlins. He motioned to the bullpen, and everyone in the ballpark, Skip Schumacher, the Marlins manager, the umpires, Taylor Rogers down in the Giants bullpen, they think Taylor Rogers is supposed to come into this ballgame. They think, hey, 1 out to go in the 8th inning. You've got a left-on-left matchup, which is exactly the platoon matchup that most managers in that situation would seek. But Bob Melvin, when he gets out to the mound, he turns around and he sees Taylor Rogers jogging in from the bullpen. He's like, no, that is not who I called on. I want a Camilo. I want a Camilo in that spot. So the Giants closer comes in for a 4-out save. And, of course, he ultimately gets the save, but Skip Schumacher gets ejected in the process. Fighting with the home plate umpire, Laz Diaz, makes a huge scene of things. Ultimately, for those of us watching from home, it made it really, really interesting and compelling because Schumacher was quite evocative in the way that he was up in the face of Laz Diaz and describing his displeasure with the situation that the Giants were able to bring in Camilo Doval and not Taylor Rogers after he jogged out on the field. He's trying to make the case that, hey, Camilo hadn't really warmed up, and the Giants should be forced to go to Taylor Rogers here. Instead, the Giants bring in Camilo. He gets the out, and then in the 9th inning, he gets through 3 more hitters. Of course, giving up 1 hit, but ultimately gets the strikeout to end this ball game. And the Giants end tonight at 7-10 as opposed to 6-11. It's certainly not where they wanted to be at this point in the season. We all thought the Giants would get off to a better start than this. Of course, with the big ticket free agent acquisitions that they made this offseason. But tonight, you see the cumulative ability of this Giants roster. And for the first time this season, you see them come back and show some real grit and show some real promise with their back against the wall, because this very easily could have been a game that spiraled out of control. Kyle Harrison, the 22-year-old left-hander, I think the way that he calmed down in the 3rd inning really set the tone for the rest of the game for the Giants. It gave the lineup time to come back. The fact that he's able to grind through 6 innings on 85 pitches against a free-swinging Marlins lineup, I thought that was really one of the most important factors in the Giants being able to come through tonight. You didn't have to use any of your lower leverage relievers. You didn't have to burn someone who's been used a lot over the past few days in Tampa. He just gets you through 6. You set up the guys who are lined up to pitch when you win, and that's exactly what the Giants needed to do tonight. So, folks, the phone lines are about to open up. 415-808-KNBR. Your thoughts on tonight's Giants win. 4-3 over the Miami Marlins, who fall to 3-14 on the season. Giants have an opportunity to go for the series win, something they desperately need tomorrow with Jordan Hicks on the hill. That will be critical for this team. Of course, coming off the disappointing series loss to the Tampa Bay Rays, an opportunity to win it on Sunday, and Blake Snell just gets shelled. So Your thoughts on the Giants' performance tonight? Is this the template moving forward for the Giants? Is it 6 innings from their starter, set up the high leverage guys, and an offense that simply grinds through at bats like they did in the later innings tonight? Or you want to see something different from this Giants team? Were you not impressed with their outing where, you fall behind against a Miami Marlins team that, again, 3-13 coming into tonight? You shouldn't be behind in that scenario. You should be playing better baseball than the Giants did in the early innings of that ball game. So we'll get to all of your thoughts on the state of the San Francisco Giants through 17 games right now. They came into today with the 3rd worst record in the National League, and they have got to use this Marlins series to improve upon that. They did tonight, and now there are 2 big opportunities to take more steps forward and climb back closer to 500 before they return home to start a 4-game set on Thursday against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So your thoughts on the other side, 415-808-KNBR is the number. Talking Giants here in the 7 o'clock hour. I'm Kerry Crowley. The show, Sports Zone KNBR, the station, KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Hey, it's Greg Papa. Spring is here, and I'm fired up about the orange and black. And yes, I'm still obsessed with Tony's Pizza in North Beach. Tony's has been ranked #1 in the world, and it's my go-to spot for Neapolitan, New York, Detroit, Sicilian, and Grandma-style pizzas. They also make fresh pastas, and their spicy bucatini is one of my all-time favorites. Don't forget about Tony's other locations like Capo's, Toscano Brothers Bakery, and Slice House locations throughout the Bay Area, and at Oracle Park and Levi Stadium.
Men, do you suffer from erectile dysfunction or Peyronie's disease? Has Viagra stopped working? Most ED cases are caused by plaque buildup, which causes blockages and restricts blood flow. Even Viagra can't get through. But thanks to the doctors at West Coast Men's Health, a revolutionary medical procedure is now available. Using acoustic wave therapy, this non-invasive, pain-free treatment breaks down plaque, restores blood flow, potentially reversing ED for good. And women, if your man has ED, talk to him about acoustic wave therapy and how West Coast Men's Health can help, regardless of age or medical history.
With clinics in San Mateo, Pleasanton, Walnut Creek, and Elk Grove, call 650-407-1167. That's 650-407-1167. 650-407-1167. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Free! Who doesn't love free? With Milo's Rewards, you get the member-only treatment that's actually worth it. Enjoy free member gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping. Because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowe's.com/Milo's Rewards today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See Lowe's.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
Whether it's food for meetings or company events, EasyCater has everything you need to make food for work, work. And that means all you have to do is sit back and take credit.
Wow, a vegan and a meat lover taco bar? Jill, you're the best.
Oh, all I did was use EasyCater.
Take the credit, Jill.
Well, I guess I sort of
Take it.
invented taco bars.
Too far, Jill. Too far. EasyCater has everything you need to make food for work, work. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Speak your mind on the sports leader. Sports Phone KNBR keeps coming at you. Streaming live at twitch.tv/the sports leader.
So the Giants have rallied. They weren't able to do much against the starter Cabrera, but against this struggling Marlins bullpen, they have scored twice here in the seventh. The pitch, Flores swings, line drive, center field, base hit. As it falls in front of Chisholm. Here comes Ahmed from third. He'll score the go-ahead run. And the Giants take their first lead of the night. It's 4-3.
First lead and their only lead. The Giants win at 4-3 over the Miami Marlins. Wilmer Flores off the bench. You heard Joe Rizzo on the call there. Gives the Giants the much-needed 4-3 victory over the Miami Marlins. I'm Kerry Crowley, the show Sports Phone KNBR. I want to remind you that Sports Phone KNBR is presented by Industrial Metal Supply, online at industrialmetalsupply.com. Metal made easy. You heard all the broadcasters break down the game. You heard me. Now it's time to open up the phone lines and go out to you, the Giants faithful, the people of Northern California, the Bay Area. Hey, we got people from all over the place on the phone lines right now. We kick things off this evening with Scarecrow in Paso Robles. Scarecrow, you're on Sports Phone. Scarecrow, how are you this evening?
I am well, Mr. Crowley. How about yourself?
Oh, always doing better when I hear your voice. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I'm not so sure that this was a must-win, as this is a must-win series.
Yeah.
In other words, we would come off a 500 road trip, which is kind of a goal. The next series, I would love to see a split with Arizona, maybe even a win if I'd be real greedy. But the fact of the matter is, Arizona and San Diego are the two teams that we have to be competitive with.
Absolutely.
If we are competitive with those two, then I think we can be a little patient with these guys. If you look at both teams, we literally flipped the buffet table over. You've got a whole new left side of the infield. You've got center field. You've got a new starting pitching rotation. You've got a new philosophy. You've got a new manager. And I think that those years that Gabe Kapler and Farhan were trying to prove a theory and reinvent the wheel maybe caused a lot more damage than we thought. The point being, I will give these guys till the middle of May before I start heading for the lifeboats.
Okay.
These guys have got a ways to go yet, and I think patience is kind of the watchword, because every week I see them and I follow them, they get a little better. It's a little piece here, and a little piece there, and a little piece there. Pretty soon they're going to get these pieces moving. And I would say by June, you may not recognize these guys. And in fact, I would suggest to you that they're putting a really nice framework on not only this year, but next year.
Yeah. I think that's the goal, is that by June, this does look different, that this does feel different, and that like you said, Scarecrow, what's transpiring now is all of these pieces coming together, feeling their way out, feeling their way into things with a new order that's, become Giants baseball in 2024. And by June, July, they're hitting their rhythm. And so you like where they're headed.
I'm absolutely encouraged, like all get out. I didn't see any direction with the former regime.
Okay.
Playing matchups is nice and fine if you're going to the dating game, but it's not going to work real well with baseball. And to be really honest with you, trying to catch a 107-win season when you didn't really realize that the 4 leftovers from the Sabian years, all had career years and literally pulled that ball club with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got you your 107 wins, not any particular theory, brought on by either Farhan or Gabe Kapler. Okay. It was a flash in the pan. Congratulations, you got your 107 wins. If it wasn't for Gabe Morales, who knows where you might have gone.
I'm glad you remember that name.
I won't forget it, even at my advanced age, I won't forget that name for a long, long while.
I get that.
He's right in that pantheon of futility right there with Angel Hernandez and C.B. Buckner.
Oh, gosh.
The point being, patience is a virtue. And in the case of these guys, they look like they're getting better all the time, little pieces at a time, but the fact of the matter is I like the direction they're going.
Okay.
Now, if the Giant business staff would get their act together, Matt, who knows?
Now, I think we can both agree on that. Scarecrow, thank you for the call. Good stuff. Always appreciate your thoughts here on Sports Phone. And look, I'm one of the people who's probably been hardest on this team from the start of the season because I really do feel with the money that they spent this offseason, with the investments that they made in these veteran players, it's important that they make a strong first impression. It's important they win. It's really important that this fan base that's poured so much into this franchise over the last few years sees this team back in the postseason. Because for too much and for too long, people have accepted mediocrity from Giants baseball. It's been 10 years since the Giants won a postseason series, and that has to end this year. And so had they fallen to 6-11 tonight, it's not the end. A 17-game stretch where you don't play that well, that is not the end in baseball. It's a long season. But you'd like to see them show the ability to come back. You'd like to see them, show some heart and fall in and do an early hole and then dig their way out of it. And we hadn't seen that through the first 16 games this season. We did see that tonight. We did see the Giants grind their way, led by Kyle Harrison, not letting the second inning define his night. He gets through 6, gives up 3. The offense works their way back against a woeful Marlins bullpen, which is exactly how the Giants draw it up. You get into that pen, and good things happen. And it was ugly against Edward Cabrera, the starter. 10 strikeouts, and there's a lot to dissect there. The at-bat quality against Edward Cabrera was not great. But they found a way against the bullpen, and that's ultimately all that matters. Let's head out to Bert in Hawaii. Bert in Hawaii, you're on Sports Zone. Bert, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How are you, Kerry?
Oh, doing well on our end. Happy afternoon to you out in Hawaii.
Yes, it is. I'm about 4:20 right now. So anyway, I've been a Giants fan since 1971. So anyway, I just found you guys' station here, so I just figured I'd call in. And I'm glad I'm calling in after a Giants win. But and I know it's early in the season, but I'm really kind of cautious about this Giants team in terms of the offensive side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I look at this team, and the problems that they had last year was they just couldn't score runs.
Not at all.
And I don't, and at all. And I think they're going to run into the same problems again this year because you look across the board at first base, we got the same person there for Flores and
Lamont, and that's going to work
Lamont,
for you.
Right.
The way that those two guys hit, those are good hitters. They'll get the job done for you.
No, but you got them, no change from last year. You got Estrada at second, no change. At shortstop Ahmed. I mean, he's a good defensive player. He's hitting well now, but eventually he's sort of like a 250-ish, 220-ish hitter, and so that's similar to what we had with last year with Crawford.
Yep.
At third base, we got an improvement defensively with Chapman over J.D. Davis, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to show offensively that Chapman is better. In outfield, Conforto, he was hurt last year, but again, he's kind of like a 270-ish hitter. In center field, yeah, we got Lee there. Obviously, an improvement with speed and stuff, but that's again comparing that to Matos, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And in right field, Jastrzemski. I mean, Jastrzemski's been, and I hate to knock on people, but Jastrzemski's been terrible. And since 2021, in 2022 to 2023, he's been terrible.
You say that, but this year in particular, he's been bad. If you go by the numbers, which I tend to do, last year he was above league average, and the year before he was above league average, and that's mostly what you can ask for. You'd like him to be an everyday player. You'd like him to be better. But I get what you're saying. There's some caution around this team, Bert, because this Giants offense is not going to be a top 5 offense in the National League. The lineup has serious question marks. And so I agree with you. There's reason to have caution about this team, right?
Yeah, I mean, and so that's where I think we might run into problems. So we're going to have to basically rely on our pitching,
yes, and
our defense. And again, we've got real good pitching and we got real good defense. So, but to expect us to score runs,
yeah.
I mean, I think we are going to struggle this year, and
I get it.
I'm wrong.
I get it. No, Bert, thank you for the call. I appreciate your thoughts here. Here's what I'll tell you. This Giants team is designed to win with pitching and defense. They went out and they got Matt Chapman because he's a platinum glover at third base. They went out and they got Jung-Hoo Lee, who, by the way, showed off the arm again tonight. It's a quality arm in center field, and he looks more comfortable with each game in center field. The first week of the season wasn't great for Jung-Hoo Lee defensively. The first homestand at Oracle Park wasn't great for Jung-Hoo Lee defensively. But I'll say this. He has looked a lot more comfortable. He's got a good first step. He's got a really good arm. And for what? 7-8 years, the Giants haven't put a good center fielder out there. And you play in the National League West, where you've got the expansive territories of Oracle Park, Petco, Coors Field, Chase Field, Dodger Stadium. These are big outfields, and they've pretty much always been average or below average defensively in center field for at least the duration of the Farhan Zaidi era, and then carrying back into Bobby Evans' tenure as the general manager. Jung-Hoo Lee's an improvement there. You look at right field, look, no one likes what they've seen so far from Mike Yastrzemski and Austin Slater at the plate. But they play good defense. And in the infield, you're mostly set up. The reason that Nick Ahmed's on this team is to play defense. So the goal of the Giants team in 2024 is to score 4 runs. You get to 4 runs, you're going to win the game. That's what happened in the Sabian era. That was their entire mantra at Oracle Park. 4 runs, and you win with pitching. And this team, like Bert just said, offensively, they're not great. But if you get to 4, the pitching is good enough to win. And tonight, we saw the formula. There's going to be a lot of close games. There's going to be a lot of Giants torture. Hey, even in the 9th inning tonight, the fact that Camilo Doval was stepping off and Matt Chapman had to call timeout and Patrick Bailey had to be alert about the pitch clock. The pitch clock is a huge issue right now in my mind with Camilo Doval, and he was fortunate to get through that 9th inning with his teammates helping him out there. That's something that has to be ironed out, and you'd think that a closer who dealt with this last season would be able to do so. But the bottom line is this. You score 4, you should win, and if the Giants are, well above 500 in the games that they score 4 this year, and they score 400, 120 times, they're going to be in good shape. Now, if they don't score 4, it's going to be a rough year. But tonight we saw it. The formula is score 4, let the pitching and defense do the rest. And tonight, Kyle Harrison gave up the early runs, but he didn't allow it to define his night. The bullpen was lined up with Tyler Rogers, Ryan Walker, and Camilo. They got the win. Really, in my opinion, one of the better wins of the young season so far. Hey, they've only got 7, so there's only, there's less than 2 handfuls to choose from. But I will take tonight's win. And I think Giants fans will take this formula if it means that they're more competitive than they were last year. Let's go to Trevor in Reno. Trevor in Reno, you're on Sports Phone. Trevor, how's it going this evening?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for having the post game on. It's awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's fun.
So
We love doing this.
Oh, yeah. It's great to listen in Reno, Nevada. Been a lifelong Giants fan. So I'm going to bring up 4 quick points, and then I'll let you kind of respond, because I know we've got quite a bit of callers. Harrison, I'm going to say he did a great job. A little shaky, of course, in that second inning, but like you said, he did not let that define his night. I hear it all the time. Let that last bad play go.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it go. That's easier said than done. It's you give up a home run or anything that goes bad, it can get to somebody's head. That's just humans being humans.
Yep.
I have a little bit of a couple of concerns, and that would be Tyler Rogers. He's kind of up and down with me.
I'll tell you,
sometimes
Trevor,
he's good, and sometimes he.
I think that every fan probably feels that exact way with Tyler Rogers, because he's just different. He's just different. The contact that you get off a Tyler Rogers batted ball looks different because it's soft. You have these cue shots that go all over the infield. Infielders aren't accustomed to getting the hops that they do when Tyler Rogers is on the mound. But you look up, and at the end of every season, Tyler Rogers is usually pretty good. And I know that this start has not been what the Giants wanted. And I know that it's going to be uneasy every time. But to me, he's part of the Giants' torture experience.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and a lot of that has to do with just bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw a couple of games ago where Rogers is pitching, and just like you said, the infield, mentally he had some error, and it's just the growing struggles. But my question for you, and then I'll hang up after this, is what do you think the Giants have to do for the runners in scoring position hits? Because I feel like that has been the biggest struggle, even from last year.
Yeah.
And, is it just a mentality thing? Do they start getting a little too tense when that comes in? Or so I'll take my comment off the air, and thank you very much.
Thank you for the call, Trevor. I appreciate you dialing in, and I think it's a question that really is on the minds of every Giants fan. Anyone who's watched this team through the first 17 games of the season, our last few callers have all said this. The offense isn't putting anyone at ease right now. And I know that they won 4-3 tonight, and I've just said, this is the blueprint, this is the formula, get accustomed to it. But I think that we can all watch these at-bats. And I look at Matt Chapman tonight, and I look at Jorge Soler tonight, and there were some pitches that were taken that you can't take with 2 strikes. There were some swings that the Giants had with 2 strikes that were, full swings. They were those A swings. They were not, let's make some contact and foul it off and keep this at bat alive. There were people swinging for the fences with 2 strikes. And you know what? Some of this is the product of modern baseball. Some of this is the product of every hitting coach preaches similar messages these days. And the days of people protecting like they did in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, those are gone. Where you're going to go up there and just fight to see another pitch and just hope to spray the ball to left field if you're a left-handed hitter. Hope to move a runner over from second to third if there's nobody out, if you're a right-handed hitter, by hitting to the right side of the infield. A lot of that's behind them. But what this Giants team really needs to stop doing is letting the pitches down the middle go. There are way too many times the hitters come to the plate and they look like they're sitting on one pitch and they're surprised to see another come right down the middle. There has to be a happier medium than what the Giants have found so far this season. We saw it tonight with Matt Chapman. There was a breaking ball flipped over right down the middle, and he looked like he was sitting fastball. And because of that, he didn't take the bat off his shoulder, and he strikes out looking. And there's nothing as an observer of baseball, whether you're a hardcore fan or a casual observer, that's more frustrating to watch than strike 3 right down the middle. The guy doesn't take his bat off his shoulder. Some of this is approach, and to me, that's the thing that's got to change. There are too many at-bats where the Giants are letting strike 1 or strike 3 come down the middle because they're sitting on a certain pitch. And look, I'm not a hitting coach. I never will be. Probably not qualified to coach second-grade baseball when my kids get there one day. But I'll tell you this. you would be instructing those kids to swing at anything that's in the zone with 2 strikes. And I know that a lot goes out the window when you get to the upper levels of the sport, you get to high school, college, the minors, the pros. Things change, and the way that hitters are taught these days change. But I think right now, the biggest question that every fan has is, what is the Giants' approach with 2 strikes? And what is the Giants' approach with runners in scoring position? Because far too often, we're seeing a more passive lineup than you'd be accustomed to seeing. And tonight, it works out for them. Some guys waited for their pitch. Tyro Estrada waited for his. He led off the 7th inning with a double down the left field line to help set the stage for the 3-run rally. Wilmer Flores didn't wait for his pitch. He hit one off the inside corner and jammed it into center field. That was a great at-bat. But you've got to see more at-bats where guys are making solid contact, and you've got to see more at-bats where guys are taking the bat off their shoulder when the pitch is thrown over the heart of the plate. I'm Kerry Crowley, the show, Sports Zone KNBR. Your calls on the other side. Got a few people on the line right now. 415-808-KNBR is the number. We've got a few texts in as well that I'll get to. Few people on the phone lines. We've got Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic joining us at 7:50 to break down tonight's game. 8 o'clock hour, talking Warriors and Kings ahead of tomorrow night's matchup in Sacramento. The show, Sports Zone KNBR. You're listening to KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Seamheads, before first pitch, you should order some pizza. So visit the contest page at KNBR.com and enter for a chance to win a gift card to Tony's Pizza Napolitana in North Beach. Furnished by Tony's Pizza, Tony's has been recognized as having the best pizza in the world. Tony G has been making pizza for over 30 years, offering several styles of award-winning pizza such as Neapolitan, New York, Sicilian, Detroit, and Grandma-style pizzas. Check out his Slice House locations throughout the Bay Area and in Oracle Park.
What's on deck? Pizza.
Grab official rules at KNBR.com.
Visit Freeman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill to see the full selection of Bosch appliances, from refrigerators that extend food freshness to dishwashers that eliminate up to 99.9% of bacteria. Check out Bosch appliances at Freeman's Appliance or at freedmansappliance.com.
Sports Phone KNBR keeps rolling live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpot Studios. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
We'll see a 7th pitch now from this Marlins left-hander. Already ready, delivers, Lee swings, line drive, base hit into left center. Coming around third, Yastrzemski, he's heading home, he'll score the tying run. The throw comes in towards second, Ahmed all the way to third on the play, and Jung-Hoo Lee against the left-hander delivers a game-tying RBI single. It's 3-3 here in the 7th.
This is the version of Jung-Hoo Lee that the Giants thought that they were getting when they signed him to the big 6-year, $113 million deal. The guy who would come up with long at-bats, would make contact, drive the ball to the other side, draw a walk, come up in big situations, make plays in the outfield. The Jung-Hoo Lee the Giants saw tonight has to be the version that really excites this front office, that really excites this coaching staff, and quite honestly, someone who I think can really ignite this Giants lineup. And I think that we've addressed this. A number of different callers have touched on this after the Giants' 4-3 win over the Marlins, where they improve to 7-10 on the season. The offense, this lineup, is not going to inspire as much confidence as, say, maybe the Giants pitching staff will this season. But that's okay. I think that this team is designed to win with pitching. And you look at the way that other rosters are built around Major League Baseball right now, and you're seeing all these high-velocity arms burn out. You're seeing roster churn on so many other teams as starter after starter and high-leverage reliever after high-leverage reliever hit the injured list. They've all got elbow pain. Many are undergoing Tommy John surgery or UCL reconstruction surgery, and it's in large part due to the velocity that you see in today's game. You can't consistently throw 98 to 100 miles an hour 70 to 80 times a game, which is what a lot of teams are asking out of their best starters. It's what the Yankees ask out of Garrett Cole. It's what the Braves ask out of Spencer Strider. It's what the Marlins asked out of the young starter Yuri Perez, who just went on the injured list and is headed for season-ending surgery. The Giants, with their staff, they aren't actually built that way. And I don't know if this is something that Farhan Zaidi and Giants baseball operations department identified a few years ago, but you don't have a whole lot of starting pitchers maxing out on every single offering. Logan Webb is a crafty pitcher. He's got the two-seam, the changeup, the slider. He mixes speeds, and he pitches the corners. He pitches for ground balls, and he's very efficient. The number one part of Logan Webb's game that he takes pride in is pitching deep into ball games. It's not throwing 100 miles an hour for 5 innings. Robbie Ray, who's on the injured list, it was that for him. It was throwing 98 miles an hour for 5 innings, and he's on the injured list after undergoing Tommy John last year. But the guys who the Giants are relying on this year, Jordan Hicks, remember him out of the Cardinals bullpen, 100 to 103? This year, in the early innings, he's been down as low as 94. He's been throwing 95, 96 on the corners. He has dialed it back. And in dialing it back, he's gained more control. The walks have plummeted. The strikeouts have also plummeted, but the ground ball rate is still very high. And Jordan Hicks, who will go tomorrow, through 3 starts this season, a 1.0 ERA. He's pitched 5 innings. He's pitched 6 innings. He's pitched 7 innings. Folks, when the Giants signed Jordan Hicks this offseason, I would have told you he'd be a 3 to 4 inning guy. That's not the way he's looked. They have him saving up that velocity. And you look around the rest of the staff. Kyle Harrison, he is someone who I do think maxes out a lot. I think he's so fastball reliant that, there is maybe more of an injury risk with Harrison than there are with some of the other guys. But Keaton Wynn, fastball splitter, a little bit like Harrison, where he's 2-pitch dependent right now. And you'd hope that he developed that third pitch. But the Giants can do that because they've got Blake Snell in there. And because they also have other pitchers coming back, Alex Cobb, and, they could see Carson Wisenhunt at some point this season, Mason Black, guys who don't necessarily throw 98 to 100 every time out. And I'm not saying that this is a winning formula. I'm not saying that this is definitively the way the Giants designed this pitching staff to, curtail all risk associated with arm injury. But you have to feel good about what you've seen from this Giant staff and this group's ability to pitch efficiently, to get deep into ball games. Because tonight, Kyle Harrison, he goes through 2 innings, gives up 3 runs, and had gotten hit around a little bit by the Miami Marlins. And what did he do? He figured out a way to get through 6, giving up just 3 runs. He figured out a way to give the Giants a quality start while limiting his pitches to just 85 on the night. That is going to allow him to pitch deep into the season. You don't want someone throwing 110 pitches over 5 innings. You want someone being as efficient as Harrison was tonight. And, of course, he was helped out by a free-swinging Marlins lineup. But you want someone being as efficient as Jordan Hicks has been through his first 3 starts this season. And so while the offense might be a topic of concern, a area of caution, a point of contention over the course of this Giants season, even if it continues the way it has for the first 17 games, I do think this Giants team will be in most games because of the pitching staff. And if Blake Snell really is a slow starter and his season mirrors what it did last year in San Diego, where his ERA was above 5 through his first 5 starts and then below 1 through his next, 20, the Giants will be in good shape. If they get Alex Cobb back and he looks like he did last season, the Giants will be in good shape. There's a lot of ifs, but you look around the league and every team has a lot of ifs. Every team is dealing with injuries to its rotation. And you're going to get to June and July and August. A lot of these rotations, a lot of these pitching staffs are going to look different. And the Giants' offense, the Giants' lineup might be able to seize on some of the opportunities that are created by facing lesser starters halfway through the year, lesser arms, 2/3 and 3/4 of the way through the season than they're facing right now, because attrition is a real thing in Major League Baseball. And I really do believe that, come July, come August, come September, the number of arms they're facing, where the guys are throwing 98 to 100 in the 4th and 5th inning, it's going to plummet. The guy they faced tonight, Edward Cabrera, he was throwing a 93-mile-an-hour changeup tonight. It's quite an arm. They struck out 10 times against him. That's not ideal, but they grinded it out against a bullpen. They won this game, and now they have an opportunity to win this series, which is, even against the Miami Marlins, no small thing. Andy Baggerly of The Athletic on the other side. Promise, we've got a few people on the line. We will get to you around 8:15 this evening. Just wanted to go on my little riff there about arm injuries and the way that this Giants staff is built. But we will get to you, I promise, around 8:15 this evening. Andy Baggerly will join us from The Athletic, breaking down tonight's game and the Giants road trip in Florida. You're listening. KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Made to shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers.
The other day, my dad asked me and my sister if we had any ideas for a sweet gift for Mom for Mother's Day. And I told him we should go check out Shane Company because they've got these cool styles. You can pick out your own gemstones. To make her necklace extra special, my sister and I picked out our birthstones, amethyst and citrine. Mom's definitely gonna cry when she sees it.
Fine jewelry that feels like it was designed just for you. Shane Company. Fine jewelry since 1929.
Now that spring is here, Golden State Lumber and Building Materials can get you one step closer to an ultimate outdoor living space. They partner with Trex, the largest manufacturer of composite decking with options for every home and every budget. TimberTech is another leader in decking with natural wood appearance made from 85% recycled materials. Talk with your builder or contractor about Golden State, celebrating 70 years in the Bay Area. When you succeed, we succeed.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, Viagra is not the answer for your problem. I know you think it is, but Viagra has horrible side effects, and for most men, the longer you're on it, the less it works. Viagra is not a curative medication. It's not fixing your problem. It's a Band-Aid for a shark bite. Acoustic wave therapy is the newest technology that can correct your problem, not just treat it. We can do something that no pill can do. We can restore your blood flow naturally. Get off Viagra today. Change your life like the thousands of men who already have, regardless of your age or your medical history. If you're tired of dealing with Peyronie's disease or erectile dysfunction, then call West Coast Men's Health today.
With clinics in San Mateo, Pleasanton, Walnut Creek, and Elk Grove, call 650-407-1167. That's 650-407-1167. 650-407-1167. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Doval's pitch is a swing and a miss. He struck him out. A 99-mile-an-hour cutter. And Camilo Doval, pitching for the first time in over a week, gets a 4-out save. The Giants come back from the early 3-run deficit, and they beat the Marlins here in the first game of this series, 4-3.
We are back here on Leader Sports Phone KNBR, breaking down the Giants' 4-3 win over the Miami Marlins. Kerry Crowley hanging with you until 9 o'clock this evening. It's time to welcome in our friend from The Athletic, Andrew Baggerly. Bags, how are you?
Hey, Kerry, I'm actually at a different ballpark right now. I'm in Oakland watching the Cardinals and A's. So a little long-distance doubleheader for me today.
I was going to say, checking out Brandon Crawford's St. Louis Cardinals. You have the chance to talk to him tonight?
Yeah, they do have a backup shortstop who's of interest, right?
Yeah.
I did. Caught up with Crawford, talked to Mason Wynn, the young guy who is sort of learning under Crawford, and he's a really talented kid. He's off to a great start. He had a double in this game already And yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like it's not really a Brandon Crawford, welcome back to the Bay Area thing, because he's used to playing here for Bay Bridge games when it's pretty much full. So, it's only an event really because he's brought in close proximity to us who covered him for so long, and we can go talk to him. So other than that, it just seems to be another series. And I told him, well, you get to play at the Coliseum one more time. And he said, well, I don't know. I don't play that much, so I can't guarantee I'm going to get in there.
Oh, my goodness.
But he's having fun. He's obviously, it's a lot low pressure. He's able to do a lot more to stay fresh in between games. It's going to be easier on his body. Staying in a rhythm is going to be tough for him, but he's able just to watch the games and enjoy being a big leaguer, I think, more than maybe he was able to the last couple of years.
Yeah, good for him. And hey, you got the entire Bay Area baseball media crew out there. I saw Susan, I saw Shay, Bags, you're out there. So I'm sure Crawford and J.D. Davis getting all the interviews in tonight.
Yeah, right. Ross Stripling is starting. Got Alex Wood over there. Yeah, there are a lot of people we know, that's for sure.
Yeah, Scott Alexander throwing a bullpen this week. So this has been your Oakland A's update here on the leader.
Right.
I wanted to ask you about the end of today's game, Camilo Doval, because you've reported a little bit on Bob Melvin and his thoughts on Camilo at the end of games with the pitch clock, and it seemed like there was some trouble today with Matt Chapman having to call a timeout. How are the Giants trying to get through on this to Camilo? Because this has the potential to be a big issue if it looms over the course of the season.
Yeah, first of all, give Nick Ahmed and Matt Chapman a lot of credit because that was going to be a 3-2 walk, and that could have changed the inning all the way around. And they both called timeout frantically, with the pitch clock about to expire. And that's something Patrick Bailey's got to be better at too. I mean, it's on Camilo. He's the pitcher. He's the one who's got to, come home before it hits zero. But if you're Bailey and you've got a mound visit left, you got to use it until you run out of them. And there was a time later on when Bailey started waving his hands for him to step off, which he then did. But that one almost came down to zero as well. The first time that he had the problems in San Diego earlier this year, from what I've heard, that was not entirely his fault because the pitch comm that he had in his earpiece wasn't in Spanish. And I guess there are some specific commands that Camilo gets, not just slider, but where it's supposed to go, et cetera, et cetera. And that was he wasn't able to get that dialed in. So that was something that Bob Melvin said, look, that's on us, that's not on him. But you're right, this is something that's been an issue for him. It's something that he's got to take seriously, obviously, and the rest of everybody's got to be super aware when the clock is about to hit zero. And Nick Ahmed and Matt Chapman, I think Ahmed, I know, was waving his hands frantically, and I think Chapman was too. So, they might have just saved the game for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Giants get out of it. Camilo Doval gets the 4-out save, and really the pitching lined up nicely tonight for them. They used Tyler Rogers in the 7th, Walker in the 8th, and then Camilo gets the 4-out save. But Bags, I thought one of the big keys tonight was Kyle Harrison being able to get through 6 and do so efficiently. I know that he's not quite a 3-pitch guy yet, but even against a Marlins lineup that has struggled a lot in the early going, getting through 6 innings on 85 pitches is a big thing for him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I think we all thought that between Harrison and Jordan and Blake Snell that the Giants may really struggle to get consistently deep into some of these starts because, those guys have not been known as command pitchers. And Snell obviously, walked 99 last year, and he's still ramping up, and it may be a few more starts before I think the Giants have a hope of seeing the Blake Snell who won the Cy Young Award last year. But in the when you're talking about Hicks and Harrison, I mean, they have to be thrilled with just how efficient those guys have been. They're not, having 35 pitch innings where they issue like 3 walks. There have been some moments of wildness, but when you see Harrison miss arm side, he course corrects pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I think back to his first start when he got 3 spot or 4 spot in the first inning, and he pitched with that lead like he was, a veteran, not a 22-year-old still finding his way. So, I think the sky's the limit. I don't think that either of those guys is going to strike out, a batter per inning, and that maybe is fine.
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's not what they need to be thinking about doing. But you look at what Harrison's strikeout numbers were in the minor leagues, and you figure that he'd be striking out the world right now. But if they've found a better way to get outs and more efficient way, then that's that works, man. That's definitely going to help them.
Absolutely. So, Bags, I had this thesis at the top of tonight's show that the way the Giants won tonight, with the starter getting through 6, with the lineup kind of grinding out at bats, some good defense all around, and Jung-Hoo Lee having a big game, this might be the blueprint for this team. You know, with the lineup, obviously there were improvements, but I don't think it's going to be a top 3 or top 5 lineup in the National League over 162 games. Scoring 4 and playing strong defense seems to me the way that this team is built, there's going to be a lot of close games this season.
Yeah, and you know what? The good teams don't have one. Right? They got a lot of different, and they can beat you in a lot of different ways and win a lot of different scripts. You know those, and so the Giants. You know, obviously, we've seen teams that have won the World Series where they basically know how to win one way, like the tortured Giants. But they're going to need to win, 9-8 sometimes. They're going to have to win, 10-1 sometimes, so they can really rest their leverage guys and not, have the game riding on one pitch. It's just hard to play that way day in and day out. So, I totally agree with what you're saying, that this is probably the most repeatable blueprint we're going to see the Giants win. But, they're going to have to, I think the good teams, the teams that can win 90-plus games are the teams that can win in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that's very well said. Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic joining us here on Sports Phone KNBR, doing his Bay Area baseball doubleheader, watching the Giants from afar out at the Coliseum, checking in on Brandon Crawford and the visiting St. Louis Cardinals. Bags, one of the things that I think that Giants fans were hoping would be eliminated this year was all the reliance on platoons. But the one at first base seems to work out so well for them with the start that Lamont Wade is off to, and Wilmer being able to come off the bench and give you such tough at-bats against a left-hander. I know that they're not right now able to get Wilmer the volume of at-bats that they have over the last few seasons, but it seems to me that this could be one that really does stick and work for them over the course of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge because Matt Chapman is going to want to play 155 games. So third base is not going to be a place where they can get Wilmer a lot of at-bats. So you're looking at first base, and you know that Tyro is what he does for you defensively. You don't want to have Wilmer play a lot of second base. So it is going to be a challenge to get Wilmer Flores regular at-bats on this team. And, he was their best offensive player last season. So, I know that the fans are off to – a lot of fans are pretty vocal in not being so happy about what they're getting out of right field. And obviously Mike Yastrzemski's not off to a great start. But that's a platoon that has worked in the past, and I think that they're going to get a lot of runway to be able to get going. And then we know what they have for first base. But for the most part, you're seeing the same lineup every day. You're seeing the same lineup configuration. It's kind of the same soup kind of a thing. And aside from maybe a guy being moved up one spot or down one spot, depending on how hot they are, we're seeing Michael Conforto batting cleanup, for instance. But yeah, I think we're seeing a lot more continuity in the lineup than we saw in the past, and almost every team has a platoon or two or four that they use in their lineup. So I think what we're seeing is seems like it's a little more standard baseball.
Couple more for Andy Baggerly of The Athletic, and Bags, I do want to ask you about Blake Snell, just because what we've seen yesterday isn't all that different from what you've seen early in the seasons from Blake Snell in years past, but he signed so much later this year, and he really did not have a spring training with the Giants. The ramp-up looked very different. How soon do you think the Giants can realistically expect him to look like a version of him that can be really useful in the starting rotation? How soon can he be throwing 5 or 6 innings consistently for this team?
Yeah, I think maybe you give him another start or two. You look at what he did last year when he won the Cy Young. I mean, he had almost a 6 ERA through the end of April, and that's with a normal spring training last year. So I think they all kind of anticipate that this was going to happen. But they are paying a lot for what he may do from May 1 on, because they're obviously paying him $32 million. They're taking the risk that he may get hurt and they're stuck with $32 million again next year. They're in the luxury tax now because they're paying him that contract. So you're dealing with the parameters of that, which not huge. The tax on the overage is like maybe $4 million, but you're obviously going to be paying some other penalties that get associated with that if you get in the tax again next year. And and they also carried him on the roster for the first 9 games of the season when he really couldn't do anything to help the team. So they played a man short, kind of almost allowed their opponents to have a pitching power play against him for the first 3 series of the season. And even now that he's back and he's made a couple of starts, he's obviously put a burden on the bullpen. So all that sort of rolled up. They're making a huge investment in a lot of ways, and they've been inconvenienced in a lot of ways to have this guy be part of their team. And that's how much they believe he's going to be a difference maker over those last 4 or 5 months of the season.
Yeah. One last one for you here, Bags, and it's on kind of the state of the National League West and the other teams that seem to be like they'll be in the wild card mix with the Giants all season long. And your impressions of the Padres and the Diamondbacks, their early starts, both hovering right around 500 entering tonight's game. And then you've got the Phillies, the National League Central is all, glummed up right now with the Cubs, the Pirates, the Reds all in the mix right there. And then I guess the Cardinals think that they'll be in it, and you're out there watching them tonight.
Yeah, and the team that's scoring the most runs in the league is the Milwaukee Brewers, like we all thought.
Christian
right?
Yelich, the MVP.
He's the MVP of the league right now. Yeah, so it's obviously there's a lot of parity right now in the National League, and a lot of teams that are on the upswing. And I like the Pirates. I think they've got a lot going for them, and they call up Paul Skeens maybe in a little bit later, and all of a sudden they've got some pretty good pitching that they can throw at you in a series with Keller and the Jones kid was maybe the best pitcher in the Grapefruit League. So it's not going to be a thing where you squeak in with maybe 83 wins. I think there are going to be some teams that'll accelerate away from the pack a little bit. You're always going to have that third wild card, but it may take a few more wins to win it this year, or maybe everyone just beats each other up because everyone's a little more talented. But I think it just means that you really got to beat the teams that you got. Respect to them are a team that you got to beat. The Nationals are a team you got to beat.
Yep.
And we know that was a problem for the Giants last season, particularly early in the season, and those losses all counted when they missed the postseason and missed out just by a few games to a team that eventually won the pennant in the Diamondbacks. So you got to beat those teams because there aren't that many of them left in the National League right now, and the Giants are playing one of them as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to win against the Miami Marlins. They found a way tonight. Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic, thank you so much. We'll continue reading you all season long. Thank you for your appearance here this evening.
All right. Thanks, Kerry. I'm going to see if there are any families of ferrets or possums anywhere in this press box here.
Please do take a picture and spread it all on social media for everyone to see. Thanks,
Will
do. Good stuff. I love having Andy Baggerly on. You can read him on The Athletic all season long. Pairs with Grant Brisbee. They do a great job together giving you updates on the state of the San Francisco Giants. I have a feeling that Bags will be writing something off of Brandon Crawford's appearance in the Bay Area this evening. Crawford was out talking to all the Bay Area media luminaries, John Shea, Susan Slusser, Bags out at the ballpark tonight. I know we were getting updates on J.D. Davis and Ross Stripling starting. So it's just a big reunion of players that the Giants did not want on their 2024 roster out there at the Coliseum, a ballpark that unfortunately John Fisher has decided he does not want any part of for next season. Still a very sad story what's going on with the A's franchise, just utter neglect from ownership there and John Fisher. I still feel for A's fans on, anytime I see that team, and they've had some exciting games recently. They've been better than the Giants to this point in the season. None of us expected that. But it's just atrocious what they have done. Absolute neglect from John Fisher, and he's been aided and abated by so many people in Major League Baseball, and it's shameful. It's just really shameful what has happened out there. So, all the best to those players, all the best to the Coliseum employees and the good people who've cheered on the Oakland A's for so many years. Because I'll tell you, one of my favorite memories on the Giants beat is going out there and watching the Giants and A's play at the Coliseum. And I do think that the atmosphere for the Bay Bridge series, Giants and A's at Oracle Park has always been good. I think it's been good. There's been a healthy mix, but probably 3/4 Giants fans, 1/4 A's fans, and then, the random 5 people with the split hat that I'll never understand. And then you get out to the Coliseum, and it's almost 50-50. And it's just, it really does feel almost like a college football rivalry game out there where it's a throwback because it's not quite the hate that you see in Giants-Dodgers or, right now there's a few other rivalries in Major League Baseball that you see a lot of that in, but it was always this, mutual respect, and you wanted to beat one another so bad. And I know that it will never be the same once the A's go to Sacramento and ultimately if they can get to Las Vegas. And it just makes me disappointed because so many special nights out there at the Coliseum watching the Giants and A's do battle really informed me and my perspective on Bay Area baseball. And I consider myself fortunate to go watch those games, to go cover those games back in the day for the Bay Area News Group. And then, of course, still discuss them now here on KNBR. So if you got any Giants thoughts, you'd love to get them off your chest right now. 415-808-KNBR is the number. Let's fit in one phone call just because she's been waiting for a while. Andrea in Berkeley. Andrea in Berkeley, you're on Sports Zone. Andrea, how are you this evening?
Good, enjoying your show. How are you?
Oh, doing well on our end. You know, always love breaking down Giants baseball, and they win in Miami tonight. So good things. Good things for this team, and they need them right now.
Yeah, a win is a win, even with Mercury retrograde, or I should say, especially with Mercury retrograde in terms of confusion with the bullpen pitchers. And that was just like quintessential, Mercury retrograde in terms of miscommunication, misunderstanding, mistakes, and, the other manager getting ejected.
Yeah, there was something going on with Skip Schumacher there. I'll tell you that. He was about as fired up as I've seen a manager yet this season. I know we're only 17 games in, and I know nothing bad has happened to Aaron Boone and the New York Yankees because he hasn't been plastered all over social media, but he's usually the one who sets the tone for managers this season. Andrew, I think it was Skip Schumacher tonight with the performance that everyone will try to live up to in terms of anger and fury.
Yes, I'll have to look up his chart and see what's up with him. But the baseball gods and goddesses have quite a sense of humor. I mean, Mercury's retrograde April 1st to the 25th. And on a more positive note, people return from the past. So it was nice to see Brandon Crawford.
Yeah.
And I heard the interview with him, so that was nice. But, in terms of miscommunication, misunderstandings, the wrong pitcher coming out of the bullpen, he wanted, Rogers came out, he wanted...
Doval was the player that he was trying to summon there. So
Doval, right.
Yeah.
I wrote it down, how retrograde. And, it's just, you guys go with the flow with Mercury retrograde in terms of trusting communication, some technology snafus, some travel delays. But it can be good to redo, rethink, and reflect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, April 1st to the 25th. The next one's not till August 5th to the 28th, and we end the year November 25th to December 15th.
All right. Well, we got it all penciled down, and I'll check out that portion of the schedule in August, Andrea. Thank you for the call. We do have to hit a quick break here.
Thank you, Terry.
Always appreciate your time, and good stuff. Good stuff from Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic. Good stuff there. Phone lines are wide open, folks. 415-808-KNBR is the number. When we come back, a little more Giants talk, but I do want to transition to Warriors basketball because tomorrow night, 10-9 play-in game up in Sacramento. The Warriors in a do-or-die game, and it should be the first of two. As I believe, and I'm sure you believe, the Warriors will handle the Sacramento Kings, but this is not an easy matchup. This is a really, really difficult game for the Golden State Warriors, and they put themselves in this position. This is a Warriors team that, yes, it's better than the roster that you saw last year, but the West is stacked right now. The West is young, it's talented. You see Oklahoma City with the 1 seed. Warriors trying to get to Sunday. They're trying to get to Sunday against Oklahoma City, and to do that, they'll have to beat Sacramento. They'll have to beat either Los Angeles or New Orleans on Friday on the road, and it will not be easy. So if you have any Warriors takes to get off your chest, would love to hear from you. 415-808-KNBR is the number. If you have any Giants thoughts that you'd like to get off your chest, 415-808-KNBR is the number. I'm Kerry Crowley. We're rolling with you until 9 o'clock here on Leader. KNBR 104.5, 680, the Sports Leader.
Kids, KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
The deals are on all month long at Stevens Creek Toyota. Shop a huge selection of over 500 vehicles. And remember, more selection means more savings. Visit StevensCreekToyota.com today. Stevens Creek Toyota, the obvious choice.
So my home is also my office, and before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
This is where we feed the faithful. Sports Phone, KNBR. Streaming live at twitch.tv/The Sports Leader.
Rodgers is now just walking slowly back to the Giants' bullpen area at right center.
Camilo Duvall should not be given these pitches to throw right now, and that's what Skip Schumacher's furious about. He motioned to the bullpen. The guy's got to come in. Camilo's throwing pitches down there, and Schumacher's losing his mind right now with Laz Diaz on the third baseline.
Yeah, this is a heated argument out in front of home plate. Skip Schumacher and home plate umpire Laz Diaz. Schumacher is pointing every which way. So is Diaz. I think Diaz tried to explain himself here.
I thought Bob was going to Camilo Duvall, who's been really rested, for a 4-out save. I thought that was the move. And I think Schumacher just got thrown out of the game. He's going to get his money's worth right now. Nose to nose with Laz Diaz in fair territory, about halfway between third and home.
He had started to go back to the dugout. Now he's turned around, and he is right in the umpire's face.
What a scene in Miami tonight. Skip Schumacher thrown out of the ballgame. Bob Melvin ultimately gets the arm that he wants on the mound. Camilo Duvall, a 4-out save and a 4-3 Giants win. I'm Kerry Crowley, hanging with you until 9 o'clock here this evening. Giants improved to 7-10 on the young season. Opportunity to win a series tomorrow with Jordan Hicks taking the mound. Who would have thought this early in the season we'd all be so excited to watch Jordan Hicks? But he's already gone 18 innings, given up just 3 earned runs thus far. It's been really good for this Giants team. So 415-808-KNBR is the number. Got a few people on the phone line. Let's hit up to Greg in Portland. Greg in Portland, you're on Sports Phone. Greg, how's it going this evening?
Real well. Nice win.
Yeah, they grinded it out, huh?
They sure did. I was surprised. You know, we were starting off on the wrong foot, and the body of work is small, but it hasn't been real good.
No.
And they came through, so good for them. I enjoyed it. It's a treat to hear you, and even more so to be able to talk to you. So thanks.
Well, thank you, Greg. What's on your mind tonight?
I agree with your observation that if they can adopt this model of winning 4-3, 4-2, that kind of baseball, pitching and defense, it will do well for them. That's a good model for everybody, defense and pitching. And if they can get there, they're going to have a winning record for sure. Mm-hmm. And so I agree with what you were saying. We have to just, we don't know the future, so we watch them, and you're encouraged. I'm not quite as encouraged because I'm worried about getting 4 runs, but it's not even May. So I'm with you on that. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is I am really pleased with the acquisition of Lee.
Yeah.
He's just a good baseball player, and they need you can't have too many good outfielders, and he's a good outfielder, and he's smart. He plays good baseball, and the Giants don't play good baseball. I hope we're going to get back to it this year, but the base running, they're just the M's, I like to call them. They're not errors on the score sheet, but this team, just the nonsense, bad baseball over the last 3-4 years.
Oh, we've seen it. We've seen a lot of it.
And Lee doesn't play that way. Mm-hmm. And, I'm looking forward to just better baseball. And that's what I had to say. Just happy we got Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. Thank you for the call, Greg. Appreciate your time this evening. And while Greg was on the line, a texter corrected me. I said that Jordan Hicks in 18 innings had given up 3 earned runs. It's actually 3 runs, 2 earned runs. The ERA, we got correct. It's just a 1.00 ERA. But nevertheless, Jordan Hicks, everyone gets to look forward to him tomorrow. And Jung-Hoo Lee, as Greg just said, really had his best game as a Giant tonight. And I think the exciting thing for Giants fans is what you saw from Jung-Hoo Lee tonight is replicable. This wasn't a guy playing out of his mind. This wasn't someone having the best game of his career and you'll never see it again. I remember, this is probably a relevant story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. 2019, the Giants DFA Joe Panic to bring in Scooter Gennett after the trade deadline. And Scooter Gennett was famous in baseball for one thing. He hit 4 home runs in one game at Great American Ballpark. And so when he gets acquired, we all write, okay, here's Scooter Gennett's stat line. And by the way, this is the guy who hit 4 home runs in a ball game. It was never going to happen again. The Giants didn't acquire Scooter Gennett for his power. They acquired him because he might be a small upgrade over Joe Panik, and they quickly figured out he wasn't. And so they cut bait with him shortly after that. But Jung-Hoo Lee, if he's ever traded, if he ever signs somewhere else, it's not like tonight's game is going to be the one that everyone's going to be writing about. They're not going to say, remember the night that Jung-Hoo Lee went 2 for 4 with a walk and a run scored and unleashed that nice throw from the outfield? No one's going to say this was the game that defines Jung-Hoo Lee's career. Much like Scooter Gennett had that 4 home run game that absolutely defined his career. But what you saw from Jung-Hoo Lee tonight is exactly what you could see from him in a lot more Giants wins over the course of this season. You could see a ton of this, where he slaps the ball the other way with a runner on second and brings home a run when the Giants need it. You could see him playing center field and patrolling the outfield in the vast, expansive outfields of the National League and making big plays in center. You could see him running the base as well, even though that he was caught stealing tonight. And you could see him working at bats, drawing deep counts, and drawing a walk like he did tonight. And ultimately, that's what you need from your top-of-the-order hitter. That's what you need from the leadoff guy, and that's what you need from the guy who you paid $113 million to, who you committed to over this 6-year time frame. He's just 25 years old. This is his first month as a big league player. He is entering what should be the prime of his career, even though he spent 7 professional seasons in the KBO and was really revered as one of the top players by fans in that league. And I think within 2 to 3 seasons, Giants fans will come to view him the same way. And it may not be the easiest rookie year for Jung-Hoo Lee, because the difference in facing pitching that, typically tops out in the low 90s and pitching that tops out in the high 90s to 100, that's a significant difference. The velocity is going to be different. The fact that teams are attacking him with fastballs early tells you that they want to challenge him and test him. They're going to be rough patches, no doubt, much like there were for his brother-in-law, Ha-Sung Kim, down with the San Diego Padres. But look at the Padres now, a team that their fans love Ha-Sung Kim. And when he becomes a free agent next year, you best believe that the Giants will be going after him, because he is someone who absolutely fits into this ethos of pitching, defense, playing good fundamental baseball, running the bases well. That's what Ha-Sung Kim has done for the San Diego Padres. And he and Jung-Hoo Lee very close. Jung-Hoo Lee has talked about the influence that Kim has had on his game. And if Kim is, the player that, if Lee is the player that Kim is for the Padres, for the Giants, that's just a huge acquisition for this team. And they've liked what they've seen early. There have been questions. The OPS dipped below 600 a little bit, and wasn't something that anyone wanted to see. But I think ultimately he will hit his way out of this. He makes a ton of contact. And by the way, our guest who we had on earlier tonight, Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic, check out his author page on The Athletic. You look up the Giants on The Athletic. He wrote a great story on Friday about Jung-Hoo Lee and all the contact that he's making in the zone, and how impressed the Giants are already with what they've seen from him, and how they really believe that he's only going to get better from here. And I'm going to believe too, because much like going from AAA to the majors is difficult, coming over from the KBO, joining an entirely different league against different pitchers in a new country, that's a transition. That takes time to acclimate. And the fact that he's able to have a game like tonight and help the Giants when they need it most. As Bag said, you can't lose to the Miami Marlins. The Giants were in danger of doing so tonight. They go down 3-0 early, and let's be honest, their reputation so far this season has not been a team that's going to grind out a comeback. We all had those bad thoughts in our minds. We all thought that, here they go again. Series lost to the Nationals last week. They get off on a bad start against the Miami Marlins. That can't be good. Well, they dig their way out of it. It's a reminder that it's still early this season. This team is still one that can be judged, one that's creating its narrative, and one that, in many ways, has a story that's still to be written. And I think that that's what makes baseball over 162 games so much fun. So on the other side, after that soliloquy about baseball, we'll talk some basketball. We'll look at the NBA. The Warriors match up with the Sacramento Kings tomorrow night. I believe we've got some Warriors sound hiding around in this studio somewhere. We'll play some of that for you. Kerry Crowley rolling with you until 9 o'clock here on The Leader. If you've got thoughts on the Warriors matchup against the Sacramento Kings in this 9-10 game, I would love to hear them. 415-808-KNBR is the number. KNBR 104.5-680, the sports leader.
Hey guys, at Primeail Medical, their mission is to provide you with the medical care you need to improve your ED, low T, and incontinence. With years dedicated to improving the lifestyle of their patients in the Bay Area, Primeail Medical strives to improve your love life and overall health. Listen to Dr. Robert Rowley.
We have virtually every medication known to man to help men. We specialize in acoustic wave therapy, sublingual lozenges, which bypass the digestive system, making them work faster and more effectively, injectable medications, and testosterone treatment for those patients who need it. Impotence problems can be treated in just one visit.
Why wait? Don't lose hope. Call now. Get a PSA test, testosterone test, Doppler ultrasound, and a full year of free visits for just $99. Call 415-761-4037. That's 415-761-4037. Call now, 415-761-4037, or go to PrimeMailMedical.com.
This is What's Cooking on KNBR.
One of the greats, Jeff Garcia. How much of a benefit do you think it is to Brock Purdy to have a full offseason?
I can imagine that he's not a guy that's going to rest on what he did this past season. He's a student of the game. He's going to study the game. He's going to study his game. He's going to study opponents. You could just tell, very mature. You love to see that amongst these young guys, especially a young guy that's leading our team in the Bay Area.
Want more Murph and Marcus? Catch them tomorrow, 6 to 10 a.m. on the Sports Leader and streaming live on the KNBR app. Sports Phone KNBR keeps rolling live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpot Studios. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Warriors are going to finish with a winning record at home. 46 wins, 2 more than a year ago. And Tuesday night, they're heading to the state's capital for meeting number 5 against Sacramento.
What a season it's been. Chase Center showing their appreciation.
123-116.
It was the 3-6 matchup in the Western Conference last year. This year, the Warriors are an improved team from a record perspective, and they're the 10. If there was no play-in tournament, the Warriors would be in the lottery, right? I mean, this team now has its backs against the wall and must win in Sacramento, akin to Game 7 last year in the first round of the postseason when they got that 50-point performance from Steph Curry. They carried them through. This Warriors team trying to keep some hope alive. And look, I don't think any of us can sit here and expect the Warriors to go on a magical run. I don't think any of us can expect the Warriors to conjure up some of that 2022 magic, advance through the postseason, find their way to the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics and win. But you don't want the season to end tomorrow night. It would be a massive disappointment for this team and this franchise and Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson if the season ended Tuesday or if it ended Friday. And it's not to say that the Kings and the Pelicans and the Lakers aren't valiant opponents. These are all really good teams. But the expectations are just higher for this team because of the standard that the veterans have set, because of the investment that Joe Lacob has made, because when you win 4 titles and you keep the core together, you expect that group to keep winning. The same was true back in 2016 with the San Francisco Giants when they fell apart during the second half of the season. Honestly, it was like the inverse of this Warriors team. It was a Giants team that got off to a tremendous start back in 2016, had the best record in Major League Baseball at the All-Star game, and then played putrid baseball during the second half of the season before falling apart in the NLDS against the Chicago Cubs. This Warriors team got off to an ugly start. Draymond Green was in trouble, suspended. Klay Thompson had to be benched and come off the bench. The Warriors went through some trying times during the first half of this season, and then end of January rolls around, and they start playing like one of the best teams in the NBA. The Warriors figure it out from a lineup perspective. Trace Jackson Davis has injected the size and the energy that they need into this lineup. You play them alongside Draymond and Wiggins and Klay and Steph, and that is a talented group that, quite frankly, is far better than a 10 seed should be. But because the balance of power has swung so significantly in favor of the West, and because the Warriors got off to the slow start that they did, 46 wins lands them in the play-in. And not even the good play-in matchup. They're in the, hey, you lose and you're going home after one game matchup against the Sacramento Kings, and they're on the road doing it. And this is a Kings team that I know that it has struggled in recent weeks. I know it's not the group that it was last year, but it's clearly a team that can get hot. It's clearly a team that can play good enough basketball to beat the Warriors in a one-off, and that's the crazy thing about this play-in. It's a crazy thing about the way the NBA playoffs are currently structured. All it takes is for a team to get hot from beyond the arc, which is something we've seen time and time again against the Warriors this season, where their backups, their second unit, hey, even their starters, they don't guard the perimeter all that well, and all of a sudden you find them in a deep hole. It's one that the Warriors can't recover from. So what are the keys? What are the keys tomorrow night against this Kings team? I think it's cliche to say limit turnovers and get off to a hot start, but I think it's really, quite honestly, to figure out the lineup that works early for you. I think the Warriors need to see if Trace Jackson Davis is a fit against the Sacramento Kings and Sabonis and the guys who can bang down low for that team. Trey Lyles, 6'9" power forward who, hey, he can also shoot the three from time to time. Figure out if it's a Trace Jackson Davis game, or if, like it was the other night up in Portland, a Kevon Looney game, because Looney has been relegated a little bit. And not just a little bit, a lot, because of the emergence of Trace Jackson Davis. There's been nights where Kevon Looney has not played for the Golden State Warriors, but you look at what he did last season against the Sacramento Kings, you look at the way that he showed up in that postseason series, you look at the way that he's wreaked havoc against Sabonis for the Kings, and I think early, Steve Kerr is going to have to test out whether Kevon Looney is a fit for this Warriors team, because it's a one-off. And so if it means a quick hook for TJD, if it means you're changing up rotations in the first quarter in maybe ways that you wouldn't during a regular season game, the Warriors might have to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable from a lineup perspective, because it's not a 7-game series. It's not the type of situation where, hey, you're down one in a 7-game set against Oklahoma City, and all of a sudden you figure out the tweak that's needed and you win 2 in a row. That's not where they are yet. They need to figure things out in the first quarter, and they need to make sure that this game does not get out of hand. And if they take control early, hey, stick with TJD. You've got Looney as reserve, and you don't need to bring him in right away. But the Warriors must be aggressive, in my opinion, from a lineup perspective tomorrow night to give them an opportunity. And yes, it's an opportunity. I know they're favored by 2.5 points against the Kings, but they're still the 10. The Kings are the 9. The Warriors are on the road. Earlier today, Bob Myers was on Papa and Lund, and the former Warriors GM had some good perspective. Jacob, this is cut G, and I think this is good perspective that every Warriors fan understands right now. Like, yes, the Warriors have had a better season than last year, but it won't feel that way if they're bounced by the Kings or bounced on Friday by the Lakers or Pelicans, the loser of that game. Because just getting through the play-in tournament, that's not an accomplishment. That's the expectation for this team. Here's Bob Myers, cut G.
I was the GM when we were 73-9, and nobody even talks about it, because you lost in the finals. You guys may look at it differently, but that's society now. I do think when you have guys on the team that have multiple rings, that's how they look at it too. They're not going to celebrate a play-in win tomorrow night in a first-round exit or anything like that. This team has big hopes, has high expectations, and so I think if you call me whenever the season ends, us three will all be able to evaluate what kind of season it was. But regular season, I think they would say, as would us three, I think they would not want to be in the play-in. They would not want to be playing these one-game, all-or-nothing games. So I think that's where it is, though.
It's true. You don't want to find yourself in this position. You work hard all year to guarantee yourself 7 games. And if you lose a 7-game series, if the matchup isn't right, if you draw Denver, that sort of thing, hey, that happens. More often than not, the Warriors have figured it out in the postseason under Steve Kerr. But this year's a different type of test. We've seen the Warriors in the play-in before. They've lost before. So what are the challenges that Steve Kerr faces for the Warriors on Tuesday night? What must Mike Brown do for the Sacramento Kings to try and squash this Warriors team from upsetting? And look, upset, who knows? It's the 9-10 game. The Warriors are favorites. I don't know that upsetting is the right word, but from coming into Sacramento and beating the Kings. I think Bob Myers summed it up well earlier today when he was on with Papa and Lund. This is cut I. He said, Steve Kerr and Mike Brown, they face different types of challenges. Here it is.
I think the challenge for Steve and the coaching staff will be, you got 48 minutes for each position. How are you going to use them? Because he has a lot of tools, whereas Mike Brown's sitting there going, I'm about 6, 7, 8 deep, and not exactly the 7, 8 I'd like. I'd like to have a full roster. But it's one game, and that's where you see in the NCAA tournament, and that's why we love watching. Anything can happen. If I was the GM right now, I was always worried.
He was always worried, and for good reason. Even though the Warriors won 4 titles, the expectations with the roster that they built were so high that coming up short of a championship would have been disastrous in some of those seasons. And the years in which they did come up short, it felt disastrous. I mean, when you build a entertaining quality product like the Warriors have, the expectations shoot through the roof. And even though the Warriors are the 10, like I said a moment ago, if they're bounced on Tuesday or if they exit on Friday, it is going to be a significant disappointment for everyone inside that building at Chase Center and everyone outside that building who does not operate inside the Warriors organization, but who is a fan of this team. So Bob just addressed how Steve Kerr and Mike Brown face opposite challenges. He also addressed earlier today with Papa and Lund, the former Warriors general manager, how Steve Kerr might approach this play-in tournament. Here's what the former Warriors GM had to say.
If the goal is to make the playoffs, which it certainly is, do you look at it one or two ways, John? Do you say, I'm going 45 minutes because if we lose this, we're done anyway? Or do you say, look, if we don't have anything left for Friday, what's the point? But again, this is why Steve makes a lot of cash, which he certainly deserves.
Steve does make a lot of cash, $17.5 million in each of the next 2 seasons. And so if the Warriors get bounced on Tuesday or Friday, you're not paying Steve Kerr $17.5 million to rebuild. You're not paying Steve Kerr and keeping Steph Curry around to get a lottery pick next year. The expectation is the Warriors will be in the top 6 next year. and that they'll fight their way right now through the top 4 in this play-in tournament. I guess the only 4 in this play-in tournament, and then get to the top 8. But Steve Kerr has his hands full. The Warriors team has its hands full, and it's because they made this mess themselves. Yes, they improved. Yes, they took steps forward. Yes, they got important contributions up and down the roster this year. Getting Podziemski and Trace Jackson-Davis to contribute what they have is nothing short of miraculous, considering where they were selected in the draft and how long it often takes players to come into their own in the NBA. I mean, look how long it took Jonathan Kuminga, a lottery pick. Moses Moody, a lottery pick, is still figuring things out, still on the outskirts of this Warriors rotation. It just takes these draft picks time to adjust to the NBA, and it takes coaches time to figure it out, and it took the Warriors time this season, unfortunately for them, a little too long. And so they now find themselves in this unenviable position of playing Tuesday night in Sacramento, and if they win, playing Friday night either in New Orleans or in Los Angeles. If they don't win these 2 games, the chatter is going to start about the end of the chatter has already started about the end of the dynasty. But the chatter is going to grow increasingly loud, and the pressure is going to ramp up even more on Mike Dunleavy, Steve Kerr, Joe Lacob on what they do this offseason to make sure this doesn't happen again. Because like I said, you don't give Steve Kerr that extension. Just say, okay, we'll take a step back, we'll rebuild next year. No, that's not the Warriors' motto. That's not the way they operate over at Chase Center. They gave Steve Kerr that extension, and they have Steph Curry for 2 more years at minimum to win, to compete, and to do it at a high level. And if you fall short on Tuesday or you fall short on Friday, it's to be a long offseason. And not just from a time perspective, from a chatter perspective as well, from a conversation, from a narrative perspective as well. On the other side, we'll wrap things up. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you until 9 o'clock this evening. A few more thoughts on Giants baseball. We'll look around the rest of Major League Baseball and what's transpired here on Monday evening. A few headlines to give you. Caitlin Clark, the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft. She's off to the Indiana Fever. A few other storylines around sports today as we wrap up this evening's show. I'm Kerry Crowley, the show, Sports Phone KNBR. You're listening to KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
Visit Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill to see the full selection of Bosch appliances. From refrigerators with their trademark Farm Fresh system that extends food freshness so you can make less trips to the grocery store, to dishwashers with precision wash technology that helps to clean, sanitize, and dry dishes and eliminates up to 99.9% of bacteria. You can see all of the Bosch appliances displayed beautifully in live working vignettes at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill or at friedmansappliance.com.
At Shane Company, we believe everyone deserves a personal jeweler, a friend to guide you, to help you find jewelry that feels like it was made just for you, or a gift that will spark joy for that special someone. Shane Company's jewelry is crafted with the greatest care and held to the highest quality standards so it will last a lifetime. We're passionate about bringing you the most beautiful gemstones, exquisite diamonds, rubies, and sapphires in every color of the rainbow, so you will always shine your brightest. Our jewelry is designed for you. With so many styles and endless ways to customize your piece, you can create a necklace that's meaningful to you, an engagement ring to tell your love story, or a stack of bracelets to let your personality shine. Discover a more personal jewelry experience and modern heirlooms as unique as you are. We're all made to shine. Shane Company. Fine jewelry since 1929.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sports Phone KNBR keeps rolling live from the KNBR Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpot Studios. Casino Matrix Progressive Jackpots are here. Where are you? Just drop in. Please play responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Clark had it in her hands, gave it up, and Iowa turns it over. Now it's Connecticut, down one. A trip to the title game on the line. Mule, the drive, 5 seconds left. Looking for Beckers and an offensive foul. An offensive foul on Edwards with 3.9 to go.
They were trying to set a screen for Paige Beckers to get a look here. Aaliyah Edwards barely leaning, and the foul is called. Oof.
We are back wrapping things up here on Sports Phone KNBR. Kerry Crowley hanging out with you. Just a few more minutes. That call heard around the world. We played it because tonight is the WNBA draft. Caitlin Clark, as expected, went number 1 to the Indiana Fever. The call you heard on the way in was the controversial decision to call Aaliyah Edwards of UConn for the offensive foul that ultimately helped Iowa advance to the national title game against Dawn Staley in South Carolina. And that's where Caitlin Clark's hopes of a college national title ended. Now she'll go for a WNBA title with the Indiana Fever. Next year, WNBA's Golden State team will be drafting. There'll be expansion draft for the WNBA team that will play over in Oracle Arena. I believe in December. That's what the WNBA commissioner said. So that should be fun. Did want to just bring you around the sports world with some different stories today. San Jose Sharks just scored late in the third period. For those of you keeping track at home, the Sharks now down 9-2 to the Edmonton Oilers. So, Jake, our producer Jacob asking who scored the goals for the San Jose Sharks. I've got to be honest with you. If you asked me the first name of any of these players, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Eklund, maybe? I don't know. Gushin. Daniil Gushin. So there you have it. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I am. So that's good. Let's roll on to Major League Baseball, a sport I know a little bit better. For those of you who did not hear earlier tonight on the leader, the Giants 4-3 winners over the Miami Marlins. The Marlins fall to 3-14. The Giants improved to 7-10 on the season. Kyle Harrison picks up the win for the Giants. He's now 2-1. The ERA sitting at 4.70. Comes down a little bit as he goes 6 innings, giving up 3 earned runs tonight. George Soriano takes the loss for the Miami Marlins. Giants had a 3-run rally in the 7th inning that was critical. It started off with Tyro Estrada doubling down the left field line. Patrick Bailey knocked him in with an impressive sacrifice fly out to left center field. Giants tie the game on Jung-Hoo Lee's seeing eye single through the left side of the infield and then take the lead as Wilmer Flores comes off the bench to pinch hit for Lamont Wade Jr. Fastball in on the hands. Flores flips it into center field in front of Jazz Chisholm Jr. The Giants take the 4-3 lead, and they don't look back. Ryan Walker gets the first 2 outs of the 8th inning, and then Camilo Doval enters to much controversy, by the way. Skip Schumacher, the Miami Marlins manager, was ejected for the way that Bob Melvin and home plate umpire Laz Diaz handled the pitching change. Taylor Rogers, the left-hander, initially jogged onto the field, but it turns out Melvin wanted Camilo Doval, who had barely started warming up. Schumacher saying that, that was not the case, that he hadn't started warming up. Whatever. We'll find more out tomorrow in our pregame, which you can hear right here on the leader around 2:45 tomorrow afternoon. I'm sure Dave Fleming will ask Bob Melvin in the dugout what went on. But a few scores to give you around Major League Baseball this evening. The Oakland A's trailing Sonny Gray and the St. Louis Cardinals 3-1 out of the Coliseum. Estuary Ruiz homered in a pinch hit at bat in his first at bat back. He came off the injured list, came up from AAA to replace J.D. Davis, who was placed on the injured list earlier tonight. Cardinals up 3-1, bottom of the 9th in that one. Bottom of the 8th inning down in the desert where the Arizona Diamondbacks tied 1-1 against Drew Smyly, forever Giant, and the Chicago Cubs. D-backs an opportunity with Corbin Carroll 2 on, 2 out in that one to take the lead. D-backs looking to improve to 9-8 on the season. Top of the 8th inning up in Seattle where the Mariners are up 9-3 over the Cincinnati Reds. Jonathan India at the plate for the Reds in that one. Bottom of the 6th down at Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles. Good news for Giants fans. The Nationals out to a 6-3 lead. Tyler Glasnow got beat up early in that one by the Washington Nationals. 6-9 on the season. 2 of those wins, of course, coming at Oracle Park last week in a very, very disappointing game for series, I should say, for the San Francisco Giants. But the Nationals now inflicting a little bit of pain on the Dodgers. We'll see if that score can hold. Boston Red Sox lost earlier this afternoon in the game played on Marathon Monday in Boston. Incredible day in Boston. I had the chance to run the Boston Marathon way back in 2017. They start that game at around 11 o'clock Eastern, and the Guardians won that one 6-0. Heron got the win for the Guardians out of the bullpen. The Twins lose today to the Baltimore Orioles at Camden Yards 7-4. Louis Varland takes the loss for the Twins. Dylan Tate the win for the Baltimore Orioles, who improved to 10-6. Craig Kimbrell picks up the save. I believe it was his 421st career save, so good for Craig Kimbrell. Still picking up saves in the 9th inning of ball games. Texas Rangers, Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers pick up a 1-0 victory over the Detroit Tigers today. Michael Lorenzen in his debut for the Rangers, he gets the win in that one. Kirby Yates gets the save for the Texas Rangers. Philadelphia Phillies won a dramatic 10-inning game over the Colorado Rockies tonight. The Rockies dropped to 4-13. It was 2-1 Phillies in 10 innings. Kyle Freeland, The Rockies' opening day starter came off the bench in this game to pinch run. He was thrown out at the plate, and he injured himself. So the Rockies not only sent a pitcher out to go run the bases, they sent their opening day starter, and he got hurt running the bases tonight. So we'll get an injury update on Kyle Freeland on the show tomorrow night, because that's just classic Colorado Rockies. Final in Tampa tonight, where the Angels beat the Rays 7-3. Phil Maton takes the loss for Tampa Bay. Final in Toronto, where Chris Bassett gets the win for the Blue Jays over the New York Yankees 3-1. In that one, Yimi Garcia gets the save. Luis Gil takes the loss for the Yankees. Final in New York, with the Mets beating the Pirates 6-3 tonight. Adam Ottavino gets the win out of the Mets bullpen. Edwin Diaz picks up his 4th save of the season. It was a late win for the Mets, as Aroldis Chapman took the loss for the Pirates. The Chicago White Sox fell to 2-14 on the season with a 2-0 loss to Seth Lugo and the Kansas City Royals today. The White Sox mustered just 4 hits in an outing that probably merits an improvement for them on offense, considering what they've done this season. San Diego Padres improve to 7-3 this season as they take it, 10-9 on the season as they take it 7-3 over the Milwaukee Brewers. Joe Musgrove gets the win. Robert Suarez the save. And then our last final tonight, one in Houston, as the Atlanta Braves improved to 10-5 with a 6-1 victory over the Houston Astros. Aaron Bummer gets the win for the Atlanta Braves. So that will do it for us here at KNBR. I want to thank Kyle for his excellent work editing the sound this evening, helping run things behind the scenes. Our producer, Jacob Violante, was here early helping out with Darren Chan and the Giants broadcast from Miami. I want to thank Jacob for booking a great show for us this evening, helping get Andrew Baggerly on the line. Derek Papa also helping out this evening. Thanking everyone here who played a role in tonight's show, including all of you, the loyal callers. We're back on tomorrow night after the Giants and the Marlins. 3:40 start in Miami. I'm Kerry Crowley signing off. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
This is Giants baseball. Nothing